The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet, with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Well, for those of you that have been around with us all day today, you know that we started off the day with a speech by Barack Obama this morning in Washington, D.C., in which he defended his decision to close Guantanamo Bay, followed by a speech by Dick Cheney where he criticized the president. It was quite the rhetorical battle. We brought you both of them from start to finish. The president has been trying to make his case for the closing of Gitmo. He received a major setback this week when Senate Democrats joined with Republicans in turning down funding for the closing of Guantanamo Bay over concerns that some detainees may end up loose on the streets of the United States. So Obama had to go public and restate his case for its closing. He emphasized that no one who is a, quote, danger to the American people, close quote, will be released. He said that they will be transferred to maximum security federal pens from which there has never been an escape. And he said that he is confident that the federal court system will successfully prosecute terrorists. Although, in my opinion, that kind of sidesteps the question of what do you do with them if they're acquitted, Mr. President? Do you turn them loose in the environment where they were acquitted? You give them $25 for a Greyhound bus ticket to where? Or do you send them back to their home nations? What do you do with them? And I didn't hear an answer to that question. Before we get into what Dick Cheney had to say, let's roll this tape, a little bit of President Obama's speech right here on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
We are not going to release anyone if it would endanger our national security. Nor will we release detainees within the United States who endanger the American people. Where demanded by justice and national security, we will seek to transfer some detainees to the same type of facilities in which we hold all manner of dangerous and violent criminals within our borders, namely highly secure prisons that ensure the public safety. As we make these decisions, bear in mind the following fact. Nobody has ever escaped from one of our federal supermax prisons. As Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said, the idea that we cannot find a place to securely house 250-plus detainees within the United States is not rational. We are currently in the process of reviewing each of the detainee cases at Guantanamo to determine the appropriate policy for dealing with them. And as we do so, we are acutely aware that under the last administration, detainees were released and in some cases returned to the battlefield. That's why we are doing away with the poorly planned, haphazard approach that let those detainees go in the past. Instead, we are treating these cases with the care and attention that the law requires and that our security demands. Now, going forward, these cases will fall into 5 distinct categories. First, whenever feasible, we will try those who have violated American criminal laws in federal courts, courts provided for by the United States Constitution. Some have derided our federal courts as incapable of handling the trials of terrorists. They are wrong. Our courts and our juries, our citizens, are tough enough to convict terrorists. The record makes that clear.
So there's President Obama's version of how to keep America safe. So as soon as he was through, across town, also in Washington, D.C. at another venue, former Vice President Cheney took to the podium. He attacked the Obama administration for having what he believes is little regard for the valuable information that detainees might provide, information that he argued could be used to thwart future terrorist attacks in the United States. The former vice president argued that the issue of waterboarding has been overblown by detractors, noting that only 3 people ever were waterboarded. And he said several times that torture was never permitted on the Bush administration's watch. He said that the enhanced interrogation techniques were only authorized after being given what he called careful legal review. He said the most vocal critics of the Bush administration's interrogation techniques come from those exhibiting, quote, contrived indignation and who, quote, distort the truth. He said that the CIA intelligence officers who used these interrogation techniques were only attempting to prevent future killings of Americans. He says that the Obama order to completely prohibit such techniques makes the United States less safe. And he concluded by citing the Bush administration's record of preventing terrorist attacks for the 7.5 years following September the 11th, 2001, a record that he says should be not scorned, much less criminalized. I thought that was quite interesting, much less criminalized, because I believe that goes directly to the heart of the issue from the Cheney point of view, because it seems he is not just concerned about future terrorist attacks. It appears that he is concerned that he and or others might face prosecution for the decisions that were made on his watch. Let's take a listen to some of what Dick Cheney had to say live here on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com earlier today.
In the years after 9/11, our government also understood that the safety of the country required collecting information known only to the worst of the terrorists. And in a few cases, that information could be gained only through tough interrogations. Excuse me. In top secret meetings about enhanced interrogations, I made my own beliefs clear. I was and remain a strong proponent of our enhanced interrogation program. The interrogations were used on hardened terrorists after other efforts had failed. They were legal